All right. Now, President Cyril Ramaphosa is hosting a Pre-SONA Youth Employment Scheme engagement in Cape Town. This is ahead of his State of the Nation address on the 8th of February. Let's step in and listen live.
On to become leading medical doctors, technologists, engineers. Our social security system is one of the most comprehensive in the world, now offering some level of social protection to every marginalized and vulnerable citizen. But of course, these achievements are often overshadowed by the deep-seated apartheid legacy that faces us every day, especially young people, because we are still faced with the challenges of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. Of course, our youth unemployment is not something to, but we have not sat and lamented about that. Today, we have the presidency coordinating three major economic responses to that. One, Operation Vulindlela, which is focused on addressing the structural challenges in the economy. The Presidential Employment Stimulus, which supports public and social employment. And the Presidential Youth Employment Intervention, which is a comprehensive response to the youth unemployment challenge. So we admit there are challenges, but we are also having programs to try and address those challenges. And through the employment stimulus, we've created more than 1 million opportunities since its launch in 2020. And over 80% of the beneficiaries have been young people, 60% of them.
And then we focused on higher education, that we're going to give bursaries and move towards having free education to the extent that we can. And today, NSFAS supports 1.2 million young people. I know of no country on the African continent that does so. Only South Africa has been able to support almost 1.2 young people into higher learning institutions, including the 13 million who are in our basic school education system. And what we then realized that we've created a nice problem, a very nice problem, because as they graduate, we now need to create jobs for them. And this is what led to the conceptualization of all these programs. We rely on the private sector to create jobs, but they are not creating jobs fast enough. So government had to step in to create those job opportunities. But we've also been saying to the private sector, create jobs for young people and don't insist on prior experience. Open up job opportunities and don't say we want experienced young people, because where will they get the experience if you don't create the jobs for them? So, in government, we are moving every department to say, don't require experience, just take young people in. Take them in. But alongside that, we then created these programs, these 3 programs, and we're adding others as well. And what is the vision? The vision is to make sure that we prepare the future of South Africa through educating, through skilling, and then creating job opportunities for these young people. And I'm really pleased that all this has happened because we listened to you. You are the ones, as young people, who have said, government, respond to this challenge. The NYDA, the National Youth Development Agency, is the one that came up with many of these ideas. And I'd like to thank the NYDA and applaud them, because they have shown that they are a responsible youth entity that cares about young people. Give them a round of applause for that. So sitting here, I'm rather pleased that we've created, or we set up this Youth Employment Service, where we've said to the private sector, take young people in and give them a life chance opportunity by getting them to learn on the job. But we went further and we created and set up the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative that has opened up enormous opportunities. When COVID started, that's when we really ramped it up. We ramped it up because we created almost 1.2 million opportunities. And many of those went into schools, they went into various other sectors, which you will also talk about. So as a country, I am pleased, I'm not yet very proud, because we want to see many more of you into job opportunities, getting work, creating your own businesses, becoming employers yourself, where you employ other young people as well as older people. Now, you are growing up in an era where you've got more opportunities than what I and Minister Dlamini Zuma and Minister Ngesi and Minister Zulu had, because we never had those opportunities. But the democratic government has made sure that we open up all these opportunities, and they are there for you to take, to run with them, and to make a good start in your own lives. But we are going to continue to massify. I want to see millions of young people becoming involved in various opportunities and getting into jobs. Our commitment to you as young people is irrevocable. It is permanent. It is there, committed like no other. In fact, young people are the ones who have benefited more out of a democratic South Africa than any other class. Because we, as soon as you are born, we basically say to your parents, this is now the government's child. We look after you until you're 18. Beyond 18, we say we will take you to higher education as well. I know of no government in the world that does something like that. And give your government an applause for a change. I shut up for a while now to rest my voice. In fact, I'm also here to try and find somebody amongst you who will go and deliver the State of the Nation address on Thursday with a better voice. Carry on.
Thank you, President. You mentioned that we live in an era of more opportunities than what was potentially presented to you when you were younger. And I know, President, you requested that I give you a break a bit, but just briefly, let's go on a personal journey. What was your first opportunity? And what did that do? And how did it translate into your life today?
My first job opportunity was working as a packer during holidays. I walked the streets of Johannesburg, knocking from door to door during school holidays, asking for a school holiday job. And I was in standard 9, which is today's grade 11, I think. And I walked door to door saying, "Kan ek werk kry asseblief? Not a vakantiewerk." And I got a job at a company called L. Suzman. It was to pack boxes, and Minister Dlamini won't like this. It was to pack boxes of cigarettes. She hates cigarettes. And boxes of sweets. She also hates sweets. And that was what I did. Put on an overall and packed and packed and packed. So that was my first job opportunity. And that taught me one thing: hard work. And we used to work very hard from like 8 o'clock until 6 o'clock in the evening. And we would pack into boxes for customers who had come to buy. So my first job was not sitting in an office like I do today. My first job was real hard work. And that's why I encourage young people, don't just want to get an office job. Go and get any job, manual or otherwise, because it teaches you the discipline of work. It teaches you the discipline of organization, of being able to be organized and doing things to perfection, to your best ability. That is what I started off with. And I guess later in life, I can now pick up a pen and sign things sitting in an office. I prefer to go back to the overall, because that was the best job for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President. I guess the pen that you sign with is quite, it has a story to tell from your life. Ashton, I want to bring you into this conversation as a young person who has had his first. In modern day South Africa, what has your first looked like? And how have you grown from that? Because I mean, I know you, I've had the privilege of spending some time with you, but the audience at large, I believe, can grow a milestone with your story. Yeah.
Thank you, Luazi. Let me just start by saying 1.8 million jobs created. That's a brilliant initiative by the President 3 years ago, and we are reaping those benefits right now. I think it's deeper than just 1.8 million jobs created. It's 1.8 million young people part of the South African economy. And even deeper so, that's 1.8 million households benefiting from this program. For me personally, my journey usually started, like most people, after matric. That's when we are inducted into the workforce, right? I went through 21 interviews, and I failed 21 times over. And it's through that journey of failure that I realized that this topic about failure in youth, that's a very sensitive thing, okay? And by complete chance, I was introduced to community development via an organization called Year Beyond. So Year Beyond is in collaboration, obviously, with the NYDA. And I'm from a very lovely community on the Cape Flats called Heideveld. And one of the local IPs that implements a program for Year Beyond called Great Commission United, literally 5-minute walk from my house. So I was going around everywhere in Cape Town looking for a job opportunity, and it was literally a 5-minute walk from my house via Year Beyond with this collaboration in the NYDA. I do want to say that through the Year Beyond program, I got introduced to so much, one being mentorship. We know that more than 70% of Fortune 500 companies are involved in mentorship programs, and I think that's a brilliant segue and leeway for us to speak about continuity and consistency. I mean, the young people seated here before you, Mr. President, they represent the faces of our past, our present, and our future. And it would be an absolute disservice if we didn't touch on continuity and consistency as a benefactor of this program.
And Ashton, it's quite profound that you touch on continuity, because President Ashton is now actually a mentor in the Year Beyond program. So that brings about a different tier. And you know, far too often we're going around, very much like how you've narrated, looking for opportunities outside of our communities because we find them more attractive, we find them more appealing. It's nice to say I'm in an office. It's nice to have the aircon blowing in your face, but honestly, who then will change our communities and build our communities if not us? And those of us, I mean, I got an opportunity and I started volunteering at an NPO at the age of 16, and you would know that volunteer work is not the most glamorous types of work, but it gives you that necessary experience. And Chair, I would like to bring you into this conversation. How do we glamorize? Ooh, yeah, that's a powerful word, glamorize. How do we glamorize and how do we make community work and volunteering and being active in our communities and rebuilding our communities attractive to young people? Because Ashton went around and had 21 interviews and fell short 21 times and felt as though he potentially is inadequate. He felt as though he potentially was not fit for any formal means of employment in this country, and it's heartbreaking. So how do we let young people realize that?
All right, those are live visuals from Cape Town at the Pre-SONA Youth Employment Scheme engagement, where the President has just reiterated government's new position to no longer focus on young people's experience when looking to hire them. He has also stressed that he's not proud, but somewhat pleased with the progress made in government to open up opportunities for the youth.